to Tune of the Month and happy March! I'm Mari Black, and this month I have for you, well, it's an Irish jig because it's March. And if you're a fiddler and you're not playing Irish jigs in March, well, you're sort of supposed to, right? For reasons that we will not mention here. But okay, since I don't like fully conforming to tradition, while we are doing an Irish jig, we're going to take a walk on the wild side. And we're going to do a wonderfully, ingeniously deranged tune by the great Finbarr Dwyer, who is kind of infamous for writing ingeniously deranged tunes. This is one that I learned off the great Shannon Heaton, lady flute player here in Boston, where I dwell, and she's got a whole treasure trove of wonderful, weird tunes like this. And she played this one, I'm like, we do that one. It's called Ahern's Egg. Can't spell it, probably can't pronounce it, certainly don't know what it means, but I love the tune. Here we go. And that's the tune. If you're just listening, have fun. I'll see you next month. And if you're ready to learn it, I have a feeling your eyeballs are about as wide as mine were when I first heard this tune. And that's okay, because we're going to break it down and get under the hood and see how this silly little thing works. So grab your instrument and set yourself up for G minor, in case you hadn't figured it out. G minor, 2 flats, B flat and E flat. But one of the things that I really, really love about this tune, and maybe you already picked up on it, is that part of its derangement is that it can't figure out whether it's in minor or major. So half the time, the other half the time, right, flipping between the B flat and B natural, which makes it feel very unsettled because it doesn't know whether it's happy or sad, in a really delightful way. All right? So when you start to hear that, like, wait, is it B flat or B natural? You're right to be questioning that through this entire tune. All right, I'm going to play the A section through twice, a little bit slower. It is a tune that doesn't behoove going too slowly because it's so sing-songy and so much switching between major and minor that if you play it too slowly, you can easily get lost in it. But we'll back it off so we can find the balance between not losing the plot of the tune, but having time to figure out what the plot is. See how much you can figure out with me, just by instinct, by ear as we go. 2 A's. 2, 3, Again, part 1. Part 2. Variation. Ending. There it is. It goes by so fast, doesn't it? So we're used to, in Tune the Month, and hopefully in the rest of your tune life, doing part 1, part 2, part 1 again, ending. This tune does have those phrases clearly defined, but one of the features of Ahern's Egg, and indeed of Finbarr Dwyer tunes that I've experienced, is there isn't the usual repetition, right? It goes part 1, part 2. I usually don't like calling this part 3 because it says that it's different from here. But this actually is different. We could just go ahead and call that part 3 and then an ending. All right? But it's no trouble. You know how to learn parts. You can do 4 rather than 2 with 1 that repeats. So let's break it down. Part 1 of the A section is the easiest to play, the easiest to remember, because it is so freaking catchy. That's it. So find that G root. And it's almost what I call a palindrome gesture, almost the same going up as going down. So it's got this nice like G, ya da 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 dum. Very nice complete sentence. One more time. Good, no problems there? Excellent. If you want any repetition, as always, just go ahead and rewind the video. That's the magic of the internet. You can do that as much as you like, anywhere you like, and I'll play with you no matter what you like. But in real time, I'm going on. Part 2. Now things are going to get interesting. Jump up to your high G, and just for a second, we're going to toggle around the G major arpeggio. All of a sudden, everything's happy. Try it again. So I'm on my G. I'm toggling down to the 5th. Here's the 3rd. Just that first part. With a little neighbor tone there. So G major, toggle down, toggle up, neighbor tone. So that second part. Neighbor tone. Just the second part. Good. Usually we don't break mini sections into 2 parts on Tune of the Month because it becomes kind of sentence fragment. But that one's useful to kind of look at since it's so noodly. Let's put them back together though. Part 2 starts with the G major toggle. Descent. Not so bad, is it? Try it again. Part 2, G major toggle. Yeah, try it again. Good. Now notice I'm using the jig bowings that we have worked on in past Tune of the Month while I'm practicing it slowly. Big, little, big, little, big, little, where big is more bow and little is less bow. Do it with me. Big, little, big, little, big, little, big, little. And that's nice because it really shows very clearly the beginning of each group. All right, so for now, let's keep with that standard jig bowing while we keep playing. And then we're going to come back and add something to it. Okay, so now we have half the A section, part 1 and part 2. Now we're landing on what I can only call part 3 because it is totally different. Well, not totally, but structurally different from everything else that's come so far. Here it is. It's so weird, isn't it? So. Back to minor there. Try it again. So he likes this pattern, Finbarr Dwyer does. We call it an enclosure, right? So the notes that you're going to play are in a scale, but he's going to play the top, the bottom, and then the middle. It's called an enclosure because these 2 pitches are enclosing, framing this middle note that we're landing on. Right, so this is enclosing the D, and then we enclose the A and land there. Does that make sense? So part 3, enclosures. Yeah, it's a useful pattern to know about in these kind of more edgy Irish jigs. It gets used a lot. Do it again, part 3. Enclosures. Land on the B flat. Good. If you want some repetition on that, just rewind. Where we just landed, that's the start of the ending. It's B flat. And right away back to B natural. So B flat, down the scale, B natural. And we're back to G, the root. Try it again. Ending, minor, major. Again. One more time, ending. Ta-da! There's the whole A section. Let's do it. All right, you remember part one? That really, I call it, in my head, I call it the G minor ping pong because it starts and ends right, boing, boing, boom. But that's not a very scientific name. You can come up with something that helps you remember it. Part one, starting on G. 2, 3, and... Part two, toggle. Neighbor tone, part three. Enclosures. Ending B flat to B natural. Good, repeat. Part two. I stopped calling the mini sections because ultimately you have to just feel this A section as one thing, because that's how it feels and sounds when you actually play it. You can think in mini sections and practice in mini sections, but ultimately you just got to run right through it, which does also make it a little unusual compared to other dance tunes, right? That usually we have kind of a natural comma or some sort of punctuation at the end of mini sections, at least at the end of section 2, right? But here it's just one big long sentence, and it somehow makes sense, but it's a lot to keep track of quickly. Now, as though that's not enough, I'm going to show you one more layer of this that I do when I play it. And that is, instead of bowing standard jig bowings, which we've worked on pretty much every tune of the month thus far, which is the idea of bowing with the rhythm. Big, little, big, little, big, little. And when I have the quarter note, the dotted quarter, it's swing. So swing, big, little, swing, right? You guys know this from past tunes of the month. And if you don't, go visit some jigs in past tunes of the month, and you'll discover jig bowings that will work for every jig. And it will work for this too. But if I play this standard bowing at tempo, it sounds kind of, you can hear the bar lines. Check it out. By the way, you can roll any of those dotted quarter notes. Ha ha ha. We'll get to that in a second. But if I want to kind of lean into the sing-songy, run-on sentencey nature of this tune, which I personally do, I don't bow it like that. I start to use a completely non-standard jig bowing pattern, which is kind of taking advantage of that idea of the leaning pickups, which we worked a lot on in past tunes of the month, including last month's old-time reel, Big Sayota. Did you expect your old-time reel bowing would work well in Irish jigs? Well, here you go. So what's going to happen? I'll do it on part 2. Did you see how I was slurring across the groups? And how it ends up working is I start the downbeat down bow, I'm going to slur 2 down, that's a leaning pickup, and now I'm going to scoop up. And I'm down bow for the next downbeat. So separate, down, up, down. And there, I treated those as a leaning pickup too. Basically what I'm doing is anytime the figuration of the tune goes ya-da-da, right, melodically acting like pickups, I'm going to treat them like pickups. And I'm going to treat them like leaning pickups, slurring down bow into the next thing. If I need to then correct my bowing for the next bar, I'll scoop up the next two. We also worked on the scoop last month in our old time reels. Go figure. I do not personally have a plan in this tune of where I lean and where I scoop. I'm kind of letting my bow improvise in that. Now that is dangerous, as we all know. Improvising your bowing, going off script with the bowing plan can be dangerous because you can end up not down bow on a strong beat, and that is not comfortable. So you have to practice ad-libbing the bowing, not fully improvising, just ad-libbing, making sure that you know where the downbeats are and that you land them down bow no matter what it takes. You may have to slur them into whatever's coming. You may have to suddenly turn around and go down bow. You have to get comfortable with it. I practice this on this tune specifically a lot. And even then, when I play it through at tempo, I kind of have this moment of crossing my fingers going, oh boy, are we going to be okay this time? And I have taken many a bowing faceplant on this tune on stage. So I know the dangers. I've chosen to do it anyway. The choice is yours. If you would like to ad-lib those scoopy bowings, it adds to the sing-songy run-on sentencing nature of the tune. But you have to self-defense. Make sure you're down bow on the downbeats. That's all I can tell you. If you'd like to play it a little safer and more secure, which I do when I'm playing this for dance, then don't do these scoopy bowings. Do the standard jig bowings. Got it? At your own risk, do this. And when there's low stakes, do this, the ad-libbing. All right? But just for funsies, let's take 2 A's and we'll play them a little bit slowly and let's try that ad-lib bowing if you'd like. You're welcome to copy mine. I can't tell you what I'm about to do because I don't totally know. And I may not remember by the time we're done. So pick it up as much by ear and by eye as you can. Any ideas you like, steal them. Any that you don't repeat my errors. Ready? 2, 3, 2 A's. Part 2. The 5-note rolls on the long notes. We have done lots of rolls in past tunes of the month. Hopefully you know them from the rest of your life as well. That's a great way to add to the sing-songy nature of the tune. If you don't know a 5-note roll, basically I was doing it on the F there. You take the note, you go the note, you grace with the note above, back to the note below, back to the note. Note above, note below, note. But we don't play it like that, because da 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 da, that's too pedantic. We play da da da, we let it go quickly. Right? And we broke that down in much greater detail in past tunes of the month. If you want to work on it, that's where to go. Okay, so there's a lot to do with the A section. We haven't even touched the B yet. Don't worry, all these things are going to apply to the B. But just keeping track of the tune is lots of fun in and of itself. You can add rolls on any of the long quarter notes, dotted quarter notes. We're in 6/8. And if you really want to wild, do those mixed bowing slurs. But land down bow on the downbeat, or you will be unhappy. You'll fix it, but you'll be unhappy temporarily. I don't want that for you. Okay, we like danger. Danger's good. Let's do B section. I'm going to play the whole thing a little bit slowly. You can hear where I put the rolls in. I'm going to go back to standard bowing while I'm working out the tune because that's easier to learn it. Here we go. Part 2. Back. Repeat, part 1. Part 2. Variation. Ending. absolutely just learn that, rewind the video, play it with me, sound it out. The B section's kind of a double think playing it, because a lot of it sounds very familiar. It sounds like parts are repeating from earlier in the section and even from the A section, but actually there's no direct repeat. It just sounds familiar, but it's slightly different figuration. So it means you need a little more mileage, a few more reps to learn it. That's okay, highly worth it. Let's go, part 1, neighbor tone. Cool. Now what I like about this is it's really just a scale. Each group is working down. The G group, F group, E group, D group. Okay? The G group is a neighbor tone. The F group is a long note, which you can roll. E group down the scale. D group down the G major arpeggio. So he's basically taking every standard figuration and he's doing one of each on a descending scale. It's so clever. So neighbor tone plain, down the scale arpeggio. Try it. Plain, down the scale, arpeggio. Each of those starting on a consecutive descending scalular note. Again, part 1, start on your G with a neighbor tone. Plain or roll, scale, arpeggio. Do it again without my calling it out. Good, one more time. Good. Part 2, up the G major arpeggio. I'll do it again. Starts with a G major arpeggio. Neighbor tone. Yeah, I could call those names out, but really it will be easier if you sound it out, sing it. Very much G major sound there. Good, sound it out one more time. Good, if you need more reps, just rewind. Now I'm back to, this is really a part 1 variation, but G major arpeggio, F major arpeggio. And those are actually real arpeggios with no funky business in them at all. G major, F major. One more time. Good, and where we just landed is the ending. Not bad, try it again. Little escape tone, and go to your G. Neighbor tone land. Do it again. One more time, ending. Ta-da, that's the whole B section. So it sounds very sing-songy, but if you think of the big meta patterns, right? Part 1 is the descending scale, the variety pack of figurations, right? Neighbor tone roll, down the scale arpeggio. Part 2 is probably the most sing-songy, G major, neighbor tone, da 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 da. Part 1 again, straight arpeggios, G major, dum, A, F major, da da dum. And then the ending, da 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 da, neighbor tone land. So notice I'm doing a lot of listening for figurations within groups. Neighbor tones, arpeggios, little scales, little enclosures. That's how I get inside this tune, is really thinking structurally about those patterns, which we've worked on all past tunes. I'm not a single pattern in here that we haven't seen already. All right, so let's put 2 B sections together. I'm still going to bow standard jig bowing, just while we get comfortable, and then we'll put the ad-lib bowings in a minute. All right, here we go. Standard bowing G, B section, 2 Bs. 2, 3, and sequence. Part 2. Part 1 variation, F major, ending. Not bad. Again, I stopped calling because you have to feel the whole thing yourself. You call for yourself what's coming next. Use your words. Those are the ones that are going to mean something to you. Borrow any of mine that you like, but go with your own. Okay, so it's coming. Notice I was rolling some of those long notes. It's your choice to roll or not to roll. Let's do it again, tubies. And now if you want to put in some ad-lib bowing, you certainly can. I'll tell you where I most like to do the ad-lib bowings are in sections that don't have as many dotted quarter note rolls. So for instance, part 2, right, that has all those running eighth notes. That's where I would do more of the ad-libbing. When I have da 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 da, ya da 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 da, I bow that more standard. Okay, let's try. 2 B's, 3, 4, part 1. Repeat. Standard here. Now ad-lib. Separate, slur, slur. Standard. So when I ad-lib bows, it often tends to be that pattern. 1, 2, slur, scoop. Right, that's a pattern that I use a lot. And I would alternate it with standard bars to kind of make it sound more ad-libby and finessed. But I really haven't standardized my ad-lib slurs for myself in my own playing. And so I'm not going to standardize them for you because then they sound kind of pedantic. The point is they sound ad-libbed because they are ad-libbed. But you practice using patterns and you find, oh, like this one works comfortably and lands me down bow. I can use that. And that comes from just experience of finding your way through. And you will mess up. You will end up backwards bow, up bow on the next downbeat. I mess up. That's okay. Just fix it and keep playing. All right. So that's the whole tune. Now, you know at the end of Tune of the Month videos, once we've done tons of work on a tune and the skills involved in it, I always like to give you one more little push at the very end. And the push I'm going to give you this time is about variation making. And I'm going to remind you that in jigs, really any jigs, but especially Irish jigs, any rhythmic group can be turned into a dotted quarter note and then rolled. So to do this, what do I mean? Let's take the B section, right? When I played it through at the beginning of the video, I didn't always play it like that. I often did, right? To give it more rolls. It sounds more Irish, right? So what I did is I took that neighbor tone group and I said, cancel the neighbor tone. I'm just going to take the first note of that group. I'm going to make that into a long note and roll it. In this case, the G. Try that. And I can do that anywhere. I just did it in part 2, right? Usually that's a neighbor tone. Instead, cancel the neighbor tone, stay on the C, the first note of the group, and roll it. All right? Now, I like to do these substitutions on neighbor tones because it doesn't really disrupt the line of the tune. Neighbor tones aren't going anywhere harmonically, right? They start and end on the same place. So it's an easy one to just substitute out for a roll. Now, on the other hand, any roll, any long note can be turned into a neighbor tone. Check it out. I'll go back to part 1. Do you see what I did? I rolled the G. Now the F we've had as a roll. I'm going to neighbor tone it. And by the way, when you do neighbor tone, it's your choice if it's the upper neighbor or the lower neighbor. They'll give a slightly different flavor. So try both, see what you like best. If you like both best, then alternate them. That's one of each, right? So let's say you're completely bored with everything that Finbarr Dwyer has laid out for you and all the ad-lib bowings and rolling or not rolling, and you want some more rolls, or maybe there are too many and you want fewer. Start substituting, swapping round neighbor tone groups for roll groups and vice versa. If you go back to my performance of this tune at the beginning of the video, you'll hear some of the ideas of where I like to do those swaps. And you're welcome to borrow, steal any of those that you like, and you're welcome to ignore any of them that you don't. So there's a last tidbit, a total bombshell to drop on you to explore on this tune and really any other Irish tunes that you are interested in, Irish jigs, interested in getting more of this sound. All right? So hopefully that's plenty to keep you busy, and you've picked up a wonderfully ingeniously deranged tune for your repertoire. I certainly love it. I love crazy tunes, as we all know. So I'm happy. I hope you are. As always, if you'd like to see sheet music for this or any future tune of the month, make sure that you're subscribed to my monthly email newsletter. My special gift to those of you who stay in touch regularly over email is when I send out that monthly email, I send out the sheet music for the current tune of the month. That's the only way you can get it from me. You may be able to get it from the rest of the internet. A lot of these tunes are findable. So if you are not yet subscribed to my newsletter and you missed my chicken scratch handwriting of a heron's egg, go find somebody else's on the internet. There's lots of resources. But if you want to catch sheet music for future tunes of the month from me, just go to my website, www.mariblack.com, and subscribe, and you'll have future tunes of the month coming to your inbox very shortly. All right, guys, have fun fiddling. I'll see you back here next month for more tunes.